Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another episode of Xtreme Memories, exclusively on the Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel right here. Hey, turn the red to gray. Yeah. Hit the old subscribe button. All right. We need the more subscribers we get, ladies and gentlemen, the more great content we can bring to you from the Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel. This is Xtreme Memories. I'm Kris Kloss. I am your host. And I want to take this opportunity first off to thank all the fans out there. We've reached a lot of episodes here of Xtreme Memories. So we're getting down to everybody's experience in this company. And we want to thank everybody for your continued interest in XPW some 20 plus years later. It really means a lot to all of us that were involved. Personally, on my Facebook, Instant Messenger, Kris Kloss Facebook page, just the way my name is spelled. Everybody that's been writing into me, I just want to let you know that I will get back to you. Even if you see that I've read your messages, I might not get back right away, but I'll do my best to get back to all of you because I'm answering questions not just for myself, but for every one of our guests. So, and we will try to answer all your questions as we're interviewing people here. So I want to thank you for that, for writing me personally. And again, of course, for all your support here. And please also not just instant messaging myself, but feel free to drop a comment down below as you guys have been on all these episodes. So thank you very much. My guest this time on Xtreme Memories is, you probably remember him. Hey, he came all the way from Italy. That's right. This guy was connected. Oh, let me tell you. Hey, you better mind your P's and Q's around this guy because you don't want to make him to make a phone call to old Carmine or the Nose back east to put a hit on you. I'm talking about the one and only Vinnie Vinnie Massaro. There he is right there. Vinnie.
Oh my God. I love that. I love how you start up by saying, listen, all you marks, don't message me too much. I read them. Just quit it. I should start using it. All right, everyone, I got your stupid messages. I'll get to them. You're like, no,
stop it, dude. This is not true, folks.
I gotta write that down. Listen,
wait a minute.
All you stupid marks out there.
Let me tell you. Oh, is that wait a minute. So wait, Vinnie. Wait a minute.
That's if Rick Rude was still alive, all you marks out there, stupid fat marks, instant messaging me. I read it. Leave me alone. That's what the total heel promo. I gotta respect you for that. What
a way to kick the episode off right here.
Listen, girls, if I don't get your message, don't worry.
Well, listen.
Long list.
Let me go back. I don't know if you were in the locker room, but I've shared this story before, Vinnie. And the late, great Chris Candido, okay? We were all in the back, and I'm pretty sure it was the Grand Olympic Auditorium. We were all in the back, and a bunch of guys were in the back arguing about being marks to each other. And don't be a mark, don't be mark. And Chris just stood up. And he said, shut the fuck up, everybody. Don't you realize we are all marks? We wouldn't be here if we weren't marks. So shut up, dude. We're all marks, man. And he stormed out, you know. So you could look at it that way too. But no. I'm honest, man. Like we actually been getting a lot of people writing in, dude. And they're asking questions about everybody. So if you don't, hey, dude.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Right. But, hey, man, I'm a mark. We're all marks, dude. So. But hey, listen, Vinnie, thanks for joining us, man. I really appreciate it. I haven't seen you.
No problem, man. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me on.
Of course,
I appreciate it.
Thanks for making the time. I know you got a busy schedule, so but we haven't seen each other. We were off air just talking on the phone, and we haven't seen each other since the last XPW reunion show, which was the 10-year anniversary. After Cold Day in Hell, but we will get to all that. Vinnie, thanks for joining us. And, we're still basically locked down, at least in California. So this is a good opportunity to talk to everybody and honestly reconnect, dude. This has been a lot of fun. And today's show is going to be no exception. Always got along with you, my friend. Always liked working with you. And I always thought you had a pretty Yeah, I always thought you had a pretty good mind for the business too. You knew how to infuse the seriousness and the comedy. I thought pretty well, dude, to where you were believable.
Thank you. I
But you
appreciate that.
yeah, but you also had fun with it too, right? Which this industry also, to quote Bobby Heenan, this industry needs a kick in the butt with humor at times, right? But so let me ask you this, Vinny. Let's start off. How did you? So you're from the Bay Area originally,
Right.
or you lived in? Yeah. Now, how did you get into professional wrestling? And how old were you? Where did it all start? And when did you start liking it?
Well, I mean, I liked it because I was born in Italy, and when I was young, they were playing. It's weird. Like in Sicily, they would show the Tiger Mask cartoon, like Sunday morning cartoon. So they would show Tiger Mask, and then afterwards they started showing New Japan. So that's when I first started loving pro wrestling. But then when I moved to America, it was kind of off and on. I didn't really like it. It was just kind of too much. WWE. I like WCW, but then once I got in high school, I kind of stopped watching it. You started getting sports and all that thing. And then about like right when high school's about to stop, I think it was maybe like a junior or like just about a senior in high school. My friends like, dude, you gotta watch this. It's crazy, and it was like ECW.
Right.
So we started watching we would go to like my friend's house that had like one of those old timey, just giant satellite dishes, and then he would get like at 2 in the morning, he would get the Florida Sunshine Network. We would watch ECW.
Oh, wow.
I remember I would tape trade with RF video, like all the ECW fan cams. I just loved it. I fucking loved ECW. Like ECW made me fall in love with wrestling again. And then because the only way to get ECW scoops or anything was just go on the message boards. Back then it was like the AOL message boards or whatever, or just like Death Valley Drive or whatever. You start learning, hey, there's something called independent wrestling, and I'm like,
right.
what does that mean? Like, what is that? That doesn't even make any sense. What is independent wrestling? And then I started paying attention to like all these indie feds, and then I found out that there's a place in like I think it was like 30 minutes from where I live in Hayward called APW, All Pro Wrestling. With Ron Alexander and Mike Modest and all those guys. So I went, and the very first show they were doing their first. It was like the very first of a kind inside a warehouse, because back then ECW was starting to get hot, so everybody wanted to be that kind of grungy, like weird looking thing. So they started doing this thing called Gym Wars. So I was at the very first Gym Wars, and they did all this stuff, and then during the middle of it, they asked if anybody wants to be a pro wrestler, join up, and then I joined up and started training. I told them I was 18 because I had to be 18, but I was like 16 and a half or like almost 17.
What year are we talking, Vinny? What year are we talking?
This was like 96, 97, I think.
Right. Okay.
So then started training, loved it, and then I started becoming friends with Vic Grimes. Like Vic was like the very first person that we like literally every day for like almost like 5 years. Me and Vic were like together just the whole time, watching tapes, coming up with moves. Like me and Vic would just go to the gym at the training and just get in the ring and like, okay, what if we do this into a diamond cutter? Like, all right, what if we do this into this? So like me and him will come up with moves and like, and then later on when I was ready to wrestle, I had my debut, they were like, you know what? Let's make Vinny a Grimes. So they had my very first match. I debuted as Vic Grimes, and I was Vic Grimes' brother.
Oh, okay.
And that's pretty much how me and Vic started becoming. Because literally everybody was like, "Oh, that's Vic's brother, Vinny." Because literally everybody thought me and Vic were like legit brothers.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Plus,
I see that.
We hung out all the time, and we were literally like brothers. We were, we always spent time, even out of wrestling. Like on the weekends, we would just go to like barbecues together and hang out with his family. He would hang out with, he wouldn't hang out with my family because my family didn't really like wrestling. So that's a different story.
So you were an APW. Now, when did you hear about XPW? When did you first hear about it?
I think maybe like, okay, well, let's go a little bit back.
Sure.
And I think like it was like one of my, like maybe my first or second week. I think it was like my first or second week training, or like one of the first months. APW did a show in Bakersfield. They did a show down there, and I remember that, you know, like there's one guy's like, oh, this is blah blah blah, you know, he helped with, you know, kind of set up the thing, or, you know, I forget exactly what it was because I wasn't, you know, I was like, I think I was 17, but like Roland's like, oh, this, you know, this person helped us, you know, get the word out, kind of like, you know, help flyer and help street team, and it was Kevin Kleinrock. So that's when I was like the very first time I met Kevin, and like I was talking to him, like, you know, everybody was kind of like, you know, like, oh, who the fuck is this guy? But like I was actually like talking to him. It was funny. And then come later on, you know, Kevin started calling Roland, like, hey, I need some guys for you know, XPW. I think they had like Modest. They had Modest first, Modest and Donovan they used first, and I think they used Max Justice, Mike Diamond. It was like the second or third show. Like they had Mike doing they had Mike doing the Nazi gimmick.
This is an APW.
No, this is XPW.
The Mike Modest doing that?
No, Mike Modest and Darwin Morgan were by themselves. They wrestled. Max Justice is a really big guy, looked like a Ludwig Borga. Remember, he came out with like a white beater and suspenders, and they had those like skinhead guys. Like they were gonna make him like a
they were gonna
make him like a Nazi guy, and then I was just like, oh my god, what are you doing? Like oh, I got a good gimmick. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? You know what it is? Like, that's cool. I'm like, not really cool, bro.
Even in wrestling heat, that's pushing the envelope. Even then.
But yeah, even I was just like, I don't know, man. And then they started. They were, you know, they're of course they were feuding with, you know, the West Siders. You know what I'm talking about? So I'm just like, oh my god, with Iceman back then. You know what I mean? And I was like, this is not a good gimmick for me.
Okay, yes, that was right in the beginning. Yeah,
it was like the third or fourth show.
And and then they didn't do anything with them really on TV.
After that was they did it like two shows, and I was like, you know what, this is bad because everybody, like everybody, when they were getting because he was a big guy, so he beat. I forgot who he beat. He beat like somebody like a little local jobber, and everybody fucking hated him. But like not that good. Like yeah, it's good heat. Like that. Get this motherfucker out of here. This is bullshit. Because it's LA. It's not like you're like, you know. It's not like you're in, you know, North Carolina or Missouri. It's like yeah, you know, it's you know, I get it. Like no, this is LA. Like this is not the kind of gimmick you want to do in downtown LA.
No room for that. You're right. But at all.
Yeah. And then then I went to a show and I watched it. Like, this is fucking crazy. I remember was it Chaos wrestled Homeless Jimmy?
Okay.
And they just literally killed themselves. I mean, it was just like it was like the shopping cart thing, and it was just like, oh my god.
I remember that. What venue was that? Do you remember what venue that was?
It was like you guys did it like back to back. It was like you did it on a Saturday or something. It was like a theater.
Yeah, Ventura. Well, there's the Reseda Country Club. There's the Ventura Theater. There's Bakersfield, and then there's the Hollywood Palace. So it was probably when we did those. Actually, we would do triple shots. We do Bakersfield, LA,
exactly.
Ventura. Yeah.
Yes, it was like back to back, and I was just like, and then like I was just like, dude, this is fucking crazy. And then I talked to Kevin backstage. He's like, yeah, no, we want to bring you in and use you, right? And I was like, I don't even think I told you. I don't think I've ever told anyone this story. And I was fucking pumped. And this is like back in before XPW was even big. This was like the fourth, like second month in.
Yeah.
And I was fucking pumped. I was like, yes, this is gonna be awesome. I'm gonna be wrestling. Like it's my first time wrestling outside of like my home. And then, of course, Ron Alexander, you know, God rest his soul, goes on the internet as soon as he gets home and just starts. XPW is the biggest garbage fed in the world, like yada yada yada, and I'm just like, Roland, like, what are you doing? It's like, well, it was terrible. I'm like, okay, but like, you know, And then of course, like Kevin's like, yeah, dude, no, Rob doesn't want any of you guys. Like Rob doesn't want any of you guys here. I'm just like, and that's when Steve Rosano was like, sorry, I choose XPW.
Okay, right.
Pogo left, and I was like,
yeah.
I was still training. I was like 18. I'm like, okay, well, I can't like leave my, I can't like tell Ron to leave. So that didn't happen. And then when Vic went to ECW and came back, and then XPW, this is maybe like 3 years after that. Then after that, Kevin said, okay, we could bring you in again, if you want this time for real. So I was originally supposed to be fucking
in the early days. Yeah.
I mean the early days, like this is like, but then Roland fucked that up. So
that's typical back in the day of like.
Back in the day, it was all that was just stuff. I mean, back in the day, you guys think like internet bullshit is bad now? Back then, AOL and grandstands and all that, dude, it's way worse.
It was worse in a way because people were like all new to that. So it was like the Wild West of like people dogging on the internet. Now we're all kind of used to it. We all know to avoid whatever, but especially in the wrestling industry, man, it was like you're in enemy territory if you're in a different company. Yeah. That's just the way it was.
Now it's different because people can have started realizing, oh shit, I can actually use the internet to my advantage. So they start doing like even because I know half the time it's bullshit. You don't really think that person's good, or you don't think this promotion's good, but you're gonna say it so you can get booked. Yeah. So back then, people were just like, dude, like people would be like, no man, you suck, you're terrible, don't ever work here again, like that kind of shit.
And it was so vague when the promoter would just say, hey, I think APW sucks, or I think XPW sucks. You're saying that pretty vague because you have like so many different people on each roster. To say one whole league sucks is really, you're saying every single competitor. It's just ridiculous if you really look back at how petty
it's just stupid. Yeah, it's stupid. It's the main reason why is because, and I know we're rolling, because he sees Rob has a lot of money and he's being in this big old venue. But he doesn't see that. He doesn't see like a guy that he sees this motherfucker hasn't paid any dues. He hasn't done anything, yada, yada, yada. But nowadays, I mean, how many fucking people pay their dues and run a show? Nobody. Like literally anybody has a ring. Anybody has a ring in a building, you can run a show. It doesn't matter. And of course, because you have an iPhone that with good internet, guess what? You're streaming on the internet, and you know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. Like you guys have no idea, man. Back then,
right?
There was like 4 promotions, and they all fought with each other.
And like it's funny. Like okay, you could say Rob wasn't in the business, but he had a lot of guys like Kevin and everybody under him that did pay their dues. So it wasn't just put together by somebody that.
And then Rob did, but you know how it is. It's just fucking stupid. It's just, it doesn't matter. It didn't matter who it was. They don't care if it was, Dusty Rhodes opening up promotion. It's still shitty because you're not working with me. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, it doesn't matter if you're not working, if you're not with me or against. And now I'm like, we could have worked together. It would have been so much better. But it is what it is.
What was your thoughts on Rob Black when you first met him and working with him?
He was a funny guy. But when I first met Rob, I didn't know what to expect. I thought, because you hear Rob stories, you're just like, what the hell's going on back there? You think like, there's drugs everywhere, and just all kinds of hell going on. But no, he was, to me, at least to me, he was a nice guy. He was very vocal, and he was very, he was very passionate. Like he reminded me of like, he reminded me of like a passionate guy, just that wanted his promotion to, succeed. But to me, he didn't seem like to me, he was a nice person. He liked, for the most part. I only spoke with him a few times, but I'm sure you guys got to know him a little bit better. I'm sure you guys have plenty of stories about Rob.
It's true. There's a lot, man. There's a lot of stories, man. And Yeah, I mean, you're right. He definitely, that was his baby, man, XPW, and he demanded us to be exclusive, and if your heart wasn't in it, you wouldn't last. That's what happened in the very beginning of all those early meetings, and people were weeded out, and you had to put everything in it. You had to want it to succeed. And we did. I mean, it was like, hey, we were young guys. We were getting into the business, yourself, myself, everybody involved. And it was such an opportunity that it was like, oh, really? Now we're doing what we want to do at an early age, and it's on television and all this. So like you said, Rosano, Pogo, they're like, well, wait a minute, we're going to go down here. There's the opportunity, and in Pogo, man, not to take anything away from anybody else, but man, did that guy ever bleed XPW? There's like, wow, he was all in, brother. So like, what do you remember? You remember your first show? Would that have been the Olympic or the Pico Rivera?
No, my first show was at the Olympic. That was free fall. My very first show was free fall.
Oh wow! Oh wait, yeah, you went against. You remember who you went against?
I went against Scott Snot.
Yeah, right.
The funny thing, sorry, remember, it's so funny because I remember like Rob's like, okay, Vinny, I need to talk to you. He's like, all right, here's your gimmick. Your gimmick is, I don't know if you watch, I don't know if you watch our TV, but I have this story where I have like, I owe money to the mafia. It's like, yeah, okay. And I'm doing them a favor by putting you in wrestling. Okay. I'm like, cool. I'm thinking like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna show them like there's like, 500, what was it, like 600, 700 people. They're fucking hardcore ECW. I'm gonna show them like my crazy fucking moves, and they're gonna mark the fuck out. Okay. And Rob's like, all right, buddy, here's what I want. I want you to go out there and pretend like you don't know how to wrestle. I'm like, okay, what do you mean? He goes, well, because the story is that you're just this kid, and you like wrestling, but you have no idea how to wrestle. And in fact, we're gonna shoot promos where I teach you how to wrestle. I'm like, all right. So what do you want me to do for the match? Just go in there, get your ass kicked, and just do one move, and then pin him. I'm just like, all right, that's fine. And that was it. And I was just like, fuck. I was like, son of a bitch. I had all this fucking crazy spots and all this awesome match, and then like he was like, okay, when you get in the ring, like I want you to like kind of go in the wrong way and slip because I don't want you to like I want you to like pretend like you don't know how to get in the ring. I'm just like, this motherfucker. I'm like, all right, fine, okay, I'll do it. But it was just funny because I was just like, everyone's like, oh, everyone's like, oh, dude, you're gonna have a crazy match. I'm like, no, not really. It's like, why? I don't know how to wrestle. That's my gimmick.
That's awesome.
I'm just like Rob, like God bless him, but God damn it, just let me go out there and just fucking wrestle. That would have been 100 times better, but whatever. Yeah. But I get it. It was a storyline that he wanted to do.
Yeah, it was all. It had to tie into the television product too. So you would travel. Would you travel with the boys from the Bay Area coming down? Is that usually how it works?
Yeah, exactly. I think back then it was me, Vic Grimes, and Alter Boy Luke. That was our car.
Right. Right.
Luke Cox. So that was our car. I think maybe Ron Head was coming too, but
right, yeah, Ron Head, yeah.
I think back then Ron Head was coming too, but that was like our car. Yeah. And that was it. That was pretty much all. That was our group. And just I love. Don't get me wrong. I love Rob because he was like kind of the first guy that gave me the opportunity, to wrestle outside of APW, and people still like, hey, people still mention XPW to me, so I'll never forget, Kevin and of course Rob for, because I'm sure Kevin mentioned my name, but Rob obviously had to say yes, so I appreciate both those people, you know what I mean?
Yeah, same here, man, for sure. Who did you like working? Well, who'd you bond with? Who were the guys you liked hanging out with? Let's say in the back before we get into wrestling.
Oh, in the back, I like Joe. Chaos was one. Supreme and Chaos were like my two dudes. Those guys are so cool. I loved hanging out with those guys. Out of the ECW guys, nobody knew who I was, so I just kind of stayed away from people. Plus, it didn't help that everyone when I was there, everyone introduced me as Vic's boy, like Vic's brother.
Right.
So of course, if you didn't like Vic, you didn't obviously. So like the very first day, like somebody like I'm walking by, and it's like, hey, this is Vic's brother, and New Jack looked at me, he's like, huh, okay, and then give me this look, like I'm like, all right, what the fuck, like calm down, like you know what I mean. So, but no, I just hang out. There wasn't, the few times, but yeah, Supreme and Chaos were like the main. Oh, and Angel, of course. Angel was a really cool guy, and pretty much all the the local SoCal guys were all super cool to me.
You came, so you're for again, you're like you mentioned earlier, your first show in XPW was XPW Freefall. Of course, that's the infamous New Jack Vic Grimes 40-foot scaffold match. Now, when you were heading down in the car for that weekend from Bay Area to LA for XPW's weekend of shows.
Oh, what a car ride that was! Whew.
Yeah, I was gonna. Well, that's what I want to ask you. I mean, we've already had Vic on here on Xtreme Memories, and thankfully he talked about it, and it was quite interesting. But what was that like? Because you obviously knew what was to come, right? You knew the match, you knew what was going to happen. I mean, it was promoted on TV like weeks before. So everyone knew that was going to be the match, the 40-foot scaffold match at the Grand Olympic. And we had Mike Hartsfield on, if you remember him. He was, one of the...
Yeah, I know Mike.
Yeah, and my goodness, man, he was the guy that really kind of was able to put all those pieces of the puzzle together for that show to actually happen. And so we talked to him about that too, how crazy it all was. But knowing that Vic, knowing what he's going to be going through soon, and you guys are by yourselves in that car, how was that? Did you guys talk about it? Did Vic talk about it?
Yeah, for sure. Like we were discussing like the final bump, because that was the main thing. He didn't care, Vic's big boy. He can take care of himself. He wasn't afraid. He was worried about the final bump, because he was like, man, I don't want him to fuck with me or like throw me off and shit like that. So like I'm listening to Vic. I'm like, no, don't worry. I just want to make sure the ring's in the same spot. And I remember we got there, right? First thing, we just beeline to the ring. Look at the scaffold, and I'm looking in, and the ring is like right below the scaffold. And I'm looking, I was like, Vic, are you taking a choke slam through all these tables? And he's like, no, I'm gonna take the fucking the meme, whatever. Yeah. And I was like, Vic, you're not gonna hit the ring. He's like, no, I am. I'm like, Vic, no, you're not gonna hit the ring.
Right.
You're gonna go flying to the floor. You sure? I'm like, Vic, look at me. And he's like, no. I'm like, no, we're gonna move the ring. He's like, no. And I don't know if you remember, but like everyone's like, I yelled, I don't care. I was like the first day there, but I was like, this dude's gonna die on my watch. And I told, told all the XPW students, everyone come here. It's like, push the ring. So I started hitting the ropes, and they pushed the ring further and further out.
Yeah.
So then if you notice, when Vic fucking took the fall, he still hit the ropes. Yeah. So if I didn't move the ring,
I know
he would have fucking landed right on the concrete. He'd be dead.
That story, I remember that it was you, Vinnie Massaro, was the guy who, like you said, you got there early and you realized, wait a minute, if Vic's, like you said, if he's not going to get chokeslammed straight down and he's going to dive out, that momentum is going to carry him. There's no way. Yeah. And the proof is in the footage, man. Like you said, dude, he still hit the rope. So he still, even though it was still not enough. He still almost didn't clear the ring after you guys pushed it. Yeah, that's crazy.
Vic did the highest split-legged moonsault in pro wrestling history. It was cool.
Right. It's unbelievable. I mean, I remember that night Vic was just kind of quiet to himself, and but again, you guys are just like in the car ride. Did he seem nervous? Did he seem like everything?
Oh yeah. No, he was nervous. I know he was nervous, because then after and I try to calm him down, and all this shit. But then like I remember like before an intermission, he comes to me and it's like, listen, dude, I go, anything goes wrong, all right? If everything's okay and I'm fine, even if I bump and I'm gonna tell the referee to go tell Vinnie Massaro that I'm okay, and I need you to call my wife. So, and I was like, okay, if he's telling me that, he thinks there's a split, like even if it's like a little bit, he thinks he may not be okay. He thinks something's wrong. So I'm like, all right, fuck, man, all right. And I'm just like watching. I'm just sitting there watching the match, and and then he gets the fucking. I'm like, what is like gets the stun gun out, and I'm just like, motherfucker, this motherfucker. So and then he fucking heaves him hard, right, hard. And then I'm just like, please, please. And I'm just watching the monitor. Like, everyone's back there just going, what the fuck? And I'm just like, please, 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 just please be okay. 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 And then the referee comes, I forgot who was the referee. And he's like, Vinny. And everyone's like, because all the boys are in the back. And I was like, what the fuck? Who's this guy? I'm like, yeah. He goes, he's okay. And then I get on the phone, call his wife. He's fine.
Wow.
So then I was breathing. And then you, Jack, comes walking through the curtain. And then somebody told him, like, yo, bro, what the fuck, right? Because everyone knew, like, he, took some liberties. And then he's like, no, I'm sorry. Before that, he walks right by Vic. Right? Yeah. Everyone's, like, checking out. And he tells him, like, we're fucking even or some shit because of the eye or whatever the fuck. And I'm just like, right. I'm like, oh, my God. And I think when he was in the back, everyone's like, what the fuck, man? It's like, hey, we're even or some shit. I'm just like, dude, fuck you. You could have fucking killed this guy. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable, man.
Unbelievable. And then Vic's fine. Like everyone thought he broke his leg, like just shattered his leg, and he was fine. But then I'm like, did you know he had a stun gun? I was like, no. I'm like, oh my God, dude. Can you imagine being that high and like a guy that pretty much hates your life and wants to fucking kill you? Like has like
it goes beyond guts, dude. What he did. It goes beyond. There's so many, like you said, the guy that doesn't like him, the stun gun, he's got it. He's 40 feet off. He's got to land right. Like, and he did all that.
Crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah. But then the weird part about it, like I'm thinking, okay, this is the last time I'm going to be here. Like I was like, I'm not coming back to XPW. There's no fucking way.
After your first night because of what you seen. Right.
No, not even that. I'm thinking I'm not going to get invited back.
Oh, I got you.
Like, there's no way they're gonna all right, they come back next week or next month with New Jack, and you guys be like, nothing ever happen. But I'm like, well, I'm Vic's guy. I'm there. Like, who's gonna fucking vouch for me? You know what I mean? Right. No, I guess I'm like, hey, yo, you booked next show. I was like, really? I'm like, all right. And then Vic and New Jack, I was like,
they had to go somewhere with you. They had to go somewhere with your storyline, though. Remember, Rob wanted to include you.
They put me in Rob Black's army. I was like, all right, cool. What does that mean? And I remember I was like, all right, that's the other thing crazy because I'm like, all right, I'm gonna be like a fucking opening match. I'm gonna wrestle, the students or whoever they got. And then they go, yeah, your next match you're gonna be back. Like, yeah, sure, let me. That'd be awesome. Like, yeah, we got some plan. And then like Kevin like calls, like, yeah, you're gonna tag up with Hoovy. I was like, all right, against Damien and Halloween. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, this is the craziest thing ever. Wow. That was fun. That was a crazy ass match. But I mean, we went to the show and Vic was there with New Jack, and they were cordial. They I guess they went like when we got there in the match the month after, they like went and talked, and I guess I don't know if they squashed it, but I guess they made it decent to work with, which is that's what people you got to remember. People don't realize it's a job. It's still work. I mean, I don't know. I don't work in an office. I work by myself, so I don't know this, but I'm pretty sure people that work in offices don't get along with everybody. You know what I mean? But you still got to show up. You still got to show up. You still got to work. You still got to do your thing. And that's how that's how Vic and New Jack were. They're like, all right, we're good. But, we're done. We're fucking for the time being, I guess. But that's why I'm like,
yeah.
Go ahead,
please. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, that's what I was saying. It's weird when I was watching. We were talking off the air, but when we were watching that Dark Side of the Ring, and they're like, "Oh, I'm like, it was." They made it seem. They made it seem like New Jack was was justified, I guess, or because Vic was a dick to him, but it wasn't. That's a different podcast. The dark side of the ring.
Yeah, but no, you're right. Like, it's okay because we talked about a little bit of that with Vic, and he apologized, and I remember watching Dark Side when New Jack said, like, "Yeah, man, that guy never apologized," and I was like,
no,
"Wait a minute,
that's not true."
Yeah,
it sounds cooler. It sounds cooler to that he did that, but it's not it at all.
Like Vic was really going, yeah, that's right. Like, no, man, he would never have done that. Anybody that knows him, like, so now that was a little bit of selling if you ask me, because like Vic even said right here on the show, you don't have to take my word for it, but Vic himself's like, of course I'm sorry if I did anything, why wouldn't I be, and where he's at now in his life, which is very awesome. But I to touch on what you just said, Vinny, about like working in an office and all that, and getting along or not getting along with people. And I tell young guys that are starting up in this business, like that are complaining, like, oh man, this guy's a dick, or I got to pay, I'm supposed to do this. I'm like, okay, you can quit this right now, go to a job you don't like, and have the same drama. These are just people. It's not the wrestling business. This is just people. People are you're not going to please everybody. Not everyone's going to get along, and some guys will, but that's in any business. So you can either put up with it in wrestling or go to an office job that you don't even want, but you still then got to put up with the stuff you're complaining about right now, So it's kind of an interesting thing, especially for young kids, that are just coming up.
Trust me, there's plenty of office jobs and office meetings and office presentations where people sandbag the other guy because he doesn't like them or makes them look bad. So it's not just like wrestling. It's just shit happens. But the ones that make it and stay and have a job full time are the ones that are professional. Like I say all the time, people forget that the pro in pro wrestling is professional. Yeah. You know what I mean? People forget a lot about that, but it's a whole different story. We can go about pro wrestling.
Well, there's a lot of that, and the professionalism comes from when you're in the back, and you have to act a certain way. And you're like we were saying in the beginning, which is true though. You don't mark out. You're now. We talked about this before on the show, where personally it was like, oh my gosh, dude, I'm on this side of the curtain now. I'm on the inside of the curtain. You don't even have to ask me twice. Like, I want to do things that are a kayfabe and all that, because it's like I grew up on the outside of the curtain. Now I'm inside. Why wouldn't you enjoy this and want to do a good job and be professional? You're here, man. You made it. You're back here. It was like being in the Wizard of Oz, but like, ooh, we're behind that curtain and watching the movie at the same time, and that's what wrestling is, dude. It's so there is, the word professional. I think it actually, ironically, is an important aspect of what this business is. Pro wrestling. In the back, you got to be professional. And if you're not ready for it. You still got to go back on that other side of the curtain. You got to mark out some more, and then you got to learn how to separate those two worlds.
For sure, 100%. Yeah, I 100% agree.
Right. So Vinny, you were there. So we're talking 2002, free fall, early 2002. And you had some good matches. You were actually one of the best big men, because you could do some stuff in there, bro. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
You could.
Yeah, thank you.
High flying twists, all those things, endurance for a big man, and I mean, shoot, man, right out the gate, like you said, you teaming with Juventud, going against Mexico's Most Wanted. Now, in a match like that, like you said, you're a young guy, and you are getting one of your first few matches in your career, let alone in this new company you work for, and you're on television, and you're working with Juventud in Mexico's Most Wanted. What was that like, coming from just a month or two prior, you're still training, doing all this stuff with APW, whatever, wherever you were training, you know.
Right.
And you're doing this at the Olympic Auditorium, man.
Right.
So how
it was fucking
for a young guy?
fucking terrible.
Yeah,
it was fucking terrifying. Yeah, it was. I was scared as shit because long story short, when I got there, I heard about the Hoovy and tagging up, and of course, lo and behold, Hoovy's not there.
Oh yeah, that's right, dude.
So like nobody can find Hoovy. I'm like, oh my god, so what are we gonna do? Oh, we'll figure it out. I'm just like, dude. So and of course, Damien and Halloween, they don't know who the fuck I am. They're like, oh yeah. So he's like, oh whatever. I mean, I've talked to Damien and Halloween, since then, and I've wrestled many shows. So now they're like, we think about it, and they laugh their ass off.
Great guys, by
it was
great.
They're great now, but I was just some fucking kid. They're like, who the fuck is this? Oh, whatever, we'll figure it out. He wasn't Hoovy like literally Hoovy shows up like 5 minutes before the match starts. Like literally 5 minutes, and I'm just like, what do we do? Hey brother, we'll figure it out in the ring. I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna die.
Oh, no.
And then Kevin goes, oh, Vinny, you go over. I was like, no, this is terrible. Oh my god, this is so bad.
Wow.
And like literally, like, whatever. Thank God, the only person that saved my life that day, thank God, was Lady Victoria. Cause she can tell, she could tell that like I was scared shitless, and she was like, "You okay?" I'm like, "I'm not really. Like I'm gonna get killed." They're not like Damon Halloween don't want to talk to me. Hoovy's missing. I'm like, don't worry, I'll be out there too. She was our manager. She's like, I'll make sure you'll be fine. And I was just like, all right. So like literally like first thing, like I go out there and like Halloween fucking gives me a spin kick, hits me right in the fucking mouth, and I was like, oh my god, okay, this is how it's gonna be the whole match. And literally just beat the fucking piss out of me in the match. But like every time I would roll out, Lady Victoria would be like, no, you're doing good, you're doing good. She was like, stand your ground, don't she's like, don't block anything, just just make sure, you let them know you can take it. And we wrestled, and I went over, and it was fine. And then afterwards, like, oh, good job, good, very good, very good. Like, they were happy with it, and I'm not gonna do that stupid like, oh, they shook my hand but they were afterwards. They were like, okay, you did, good job, you did good, and everything's fine. But yeah, I was terrified. I think it was like 18 or 19. I was fucking terrified.
You were only 18 or 19 years old at that time?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. 19. I was 19.
That is, wow. I didn't know you. I mean, I guess I just didn't ask you your age back then, but oh wow. That's wow, man. That's pretty cool.
I know.
Dude.
I'm trying to think. What year was that?
2002.
2002.
And it would have probably been early 02.
So yeah, so I was like 20 years old then, I guess. Yeah, 20, okay, 19, 20.
19 or 20. So you couldn't drink, but you could go almost get killed.
Because remember, everyone was like, I'm gonna go out to the party, and me and Vic would like Denny's. That was it. You know what I mean? Afterwards, everyone wanted to go to the party, and they're like, "Oh, we'll let you in." I'm like, oh, "Dude, I don't want to go to LA and get carded and get fucking. That's lame." So then me and Vic would just go to like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, probably Denny's or some dumb.
Exactly. Yeah. So do you have like what? Tell me. I mean, would that be? What was your favorite match of you in XPW? What was your favorite match? And I'll make this a double part. What was your favorite match, and what was your favorite just moment? Give me some crazy moments.
Oh man, I would probably say my favorite moment. I would say my favorite moment was like making sure, like just personal, just making sure Vic was okay on that mat, on that, moving the ring. You know what I mean? So he wasn't, making sure he was okay in that ring. I think my favorite match probably had to be my King of Death match with Altar Boy Luke.
Okay. Yeah.
That was my favorite. What's that?
That was Pico Rivera, right?
That was at Pico. That was Pico. That was my favorite match because everyone was like, "Dude, you're gonna do a death match? What the fuck?" Everyone was like mind blowing. Like, I'm like, "Oh my god!" And I literally did nothing. I did like 0 fucking death match. And me and Luke actually, because I want to show. Listen, we're gonna have a fucking like nice wrestling match, and they're gonna love it. And I remember like there was fans there. They had brought their own weapons, and there was this guy. I'm like beating up Luke, and this guy hands me this fucking light tube that was broken in half, and they had inside the light tube. Now you guys are gonna think I'm fucking with you. I'm 100%. This is a shoot. He gives me this light tube, and I start to shake it. They're inside the light tube. He broke it, put lemon juice and fish hooks, and then taped it like a kendo stick. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like squishing it. It's like, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? He goes, it's lemon juice and fish hooks. Hit him with it. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding? And I grabbed it and I throw it on the ground.
Oh man, that guy must have been pissed.
I don't know. This guy probably like spit on it. I'm gonna hit Luke and give him like a fucking tetanus shot or whatever.
This is not far fetched. I mean, when you said like, "Hey man, this is a shoot," I'm not kidding. Someone really did it, bro. There were some rabid fans that does not surprise me at all, dude. At all.
Yeah, it was. But that was the fun part. If it's on YouTube. If you want to look, I literally took one bump in the bed of nails, and that was it. And but like the whole match, we're like doing like we're wrestling, like we're having like an actual wrestling match.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and I'm sure Rob Black fucking hated it because back then here's my Rob Black imitation. All right, this is Rob Black before King of Death match. All right, you motherfuckers. I want you to go out there. I don't want you to fucking bleed. I want you to fucking kill yourselves. I want you to fucking do the craziest shit. Go out there. There's fans out there. There's XPW. I want to see you bleed. I want to see you fucking do crazy shit. But also, fellas, please be careful. Okay, I want everyone to make sure don't get hurt. I'm like, go get them, boys. Like that was Rob Black's version. That was like Rob Black's version of like the fucking ECW, like Paul Heyman. Get the squad going. He's like, you fucking bleed.
Yeah, man.
I'm like, all right, dude, calm down. Like we're not doing any of that.
I know, man.
So I'm sure he hated the match. I'm sure he was like, what the fuck is this bullshit? How come there's no bleeding? How come no one's dying? What's happening?
Yes. What do you have like outside of yourself, just a favorite match in the company that you like that you remember?
XPW?
That you.
Oh my god.
Or also some of your favorite wrestlers in XPW that you thought were just.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. Like when I met Terry Funk, that was like the greatest fucking moment of my career. Like, when I got to meet him. Like I know everyone was like, everyone's standing backstage like this because nobody wants to be a mark, right? I was like, I don't fucking care right now. This might be the only shot I get to see Terry Funk. So I was like, sir, how you doing? Oh, hey, how you? Can I take a picture with you? And I took a picture with him, and somebody took me and Rod Head, we took a picture, and then all the boys like, Terry, picture.
Right on.
Yeah. But I was like, I don't care if I'm because then everyone's like, oh, I'm too cool for school, I'm like, dude, this is Terry fucking Funk. Like, you know what I mean? I go, I don't know if I'm ever gonna have this opportunity again. So I took a picture of Terry Funk.
You look back, and you want to be professional. But look, I look back right now that you're saying all this, like, I should have got a picture with him too. I don't think I ever did. I mean, I was there again, like he came to the broadcast booth at the LA Sports Arena. He grabbed me and clobbered me when he was like beating the whole crew up, So I guess that's my picture with him. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But that's an interesting story because you started that kind of chain reaction. It had to start with you. With like once you took a picture, everyone else followed suit, and that's the same thing you did. That's the same thing you did with moving the ring for Vic. You're the first one to say it, and then everyone did it, dude. You know, someone had to be the first.
Yeah, if there's one thing anybody can always say about me, Vinny just does what fucking he wants to do. You know what I mean? Like I don't care. I don't honestly. I know this sounds, you know, in pro wrestling sounds bad because you know you want to be the cool guy in the group, but
right.
I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks of me. You know what I mean? I've done it. You know, I've heard every bad story about me. I've heard every good story about me. I'm like, I'm just gonna do what I feel comfortable and what I want to do. So. Terry Funk's there, I fucking did it. I mean, listen, I'm not, you know, I wasn't like, oh my god, how was it wrestling Rick? I wasn't like a nerd, you know. I wasn't like I wasn't being like a nerd or anything. I just like, dude, please, like you're my favorite, like you're one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. Like I love you, please. And he was like, oh, of course.
Yeah, and you know, there's a fine line with all that, like you said, marking out, not being professional. But at the end of the day, like, you know, we all are. You know what, like you said too, not caring about what other people think, not living in the fear of what other people think, right? With the, like, I think what kids go through more so now than we've ever gone through, right? And I think wrestling, though, honestly, was a big kind of gave you the thick skin and a life lesson because you get the hate, you get the love, and then you develop a thick skin for all that. And also, check it out, dude. Most of us in the wrestling business, in one way or another, don't care about what people think because we went into the circus of a business anyway that's not normal in the first place. So I think you do have a lot of that in this industry, which is why there's so many interesting people in this industry, because you have a lot of people that just went against the grain in their own lives to get here, right? And now, and like you said, you're obviously most everybody is in one way or another is being themselves. Because if you go into a wrestling locker room, yeah, you're going to have backstabbers, you're going to have phony, people are going to lie. I'm just talking about the general aura of a person in wrestling. He's already kind of passed that test to kind of go against the grain and be himself, right? And I always found it interesting, like when I had to work a job, I had my real estate agent at the time, real estate license at the time. And I go into these office jobs just off the heels of being in the office of XPW and doing these live shows. And it was just so plain, vanilla, nothing, going to these offices with these normal people. And everyone was acting exactly the same. It's like, oh, this is so stagnant and it feels so trapped. You go into wrestling and everyone's just being themselves. Whew. Can breathe, you know. It was fun. And like you said on the phone to me earlier, before we went on, like what a bunch of fun that was. It was just so much fun. It was like high school was continued. And on so many.
It was yeah. I do, like I said, I was only there for a few months. Like I think it was like total like.
Seems like you were there longer. It just seems like you were there.
It seems, yeah, it does, but it's honestly what it is. It's just it was fun. I loved it. I wish I would have been there from the beginning, like over like the original plan. That would have been fun. Which
you for all intents and purposes, you were going to be there from the beginning, but there was just drama that it was just politics that was out of your control.
Yeah. But the cool thing is, like, after all this, I'm still friends with a lot of guys like Joey Chaos. I was I met up with Supreme before he passed away, and all those guys. You know what I mean? So I'm glad I got to meet got to meet those guys, and even after XPW was finished up, I still got to hang out. I still got to meet all those guys. Mike Hartsfield, Pogo and Razan and all those guys. So in Vic and of course Vic and Ron Head, but so that part's good, and I appreciate it. And I still like I said, every now and then we still got still get mentioned here and there. And I always like to make jokes about it because it's always now looking back at it was a fucking crazy place, and you gotta look back and smile about it.
Absolutely, man. A couple of those annoying marks that you you described them as. Actually, a couple of them asked if you were going to be on. So,
oh no. Well,
yeah.
To those annoying marks, you're welcome.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned Supreme, you mentioned the West Sider Q earlier that passed away, and you got any stories of any of the guys that we've known that have that aren't with us anymore? Any cool stories, ribs, like going out, whatever, matches, anything? Supreme, Dynamite.
I mean,
Q.
yeah, Supreme. Supreme was. I barely got to see Q because he was already. He was pretty much done when I was there. Supreme was just a great guy. Honestly, I think the best part about Supreme that I love is that he was such a good family man. You know what I mean? Like no matter how bloody he was, he always made time for his family. That was always cool, and I was, and he always respected me because I'm a family man myself, and he always, we always bonded. Me and him always bonded over that. Of course, Dynamite was the very first one. You know what I mean? But I mean, that was shoot. I think that was like maybe I think I met him like once or twice. Once or twice here and there. I mean, it's honestly, I think out of all of them, I think Supreme was the one that I related to the most, and he was the one that I spoke with the most and liked the most.
Okay, what have you been doing since XPW? I know that was a long time ago, and we'll get into the reunion shows in a second. But before we do that, what happened? Why did you leave the first time at XPW? What happened?
Which time? What do you
mean? Like the original XPW, like 2002 or 2003, whenever it was you took off.
What did happen? I don't remember. I think they just didn't. They moved to the Philly. I think what happened is they started doing shows in Philly, and then they started going with other people, more local people, down there. And I was like, sure. I get it, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna ask, all that because there was once he went to Philly, he started using a lot of the guys from the East Coast, a lot more people from there. So there was only like a few people that got flown in to the Philly, and I was like, dude, trust me. I'm like, this was like my 4th month there, so I totally get it. And then when they came back, I couldn't do it because there was I think I had I had a funeral to go to or something.
Oh, okay. All right.
When they came back to LA, I had like a funeral to go to, and then after that was it. After that, it was pretty much they went to Philly again, and that was it. Then they closed down.
Yeah. Of course, Vinnie Massaro of the Mafia had a funeral to go to. That's understandable.
Listen, I don't know what you're talking about. Someone, something's always happening, but So basically, after King of Deathmatch, they went to Philly, and I think they did like 2 shows in Philly, and I was on those shows. And then when they came back, that's when I had my my funeral to go to, and then they went back to Philly, and then XPW folded, and that was it.
That was it. It was out of nowhere, man, because that we've got into that in other episodes with the whole federal government and Rob Black and all that stuff, man. It was just too much, man. It was, you don't defeat the federal government. I'm sorry, but so after you left XPW, did you still wrestle? Were you still working at all, or what happened to you in your career after you left XPW?
So then after XPW, after XPW, I still, I was still training, still wrestling down in, back home, and then Pro Wrestling Iron started, so I started doing that, and then I took about a year off, because I had my son, I had my, my wife, she got pregnant, so I took a year off of wrestling, and then came back and just started wrestling, I got to wrestle some cool, I was in some pretty cool matches, you know what I mean? I got to wrestle Misawa, so that was that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then, and that was pretty much it, you know what I mean? It was I mean, I still kept wrestling, still kept training and everything, and it was you know what I mean, like stuff like that kept happening, and I was really happy about it. So
Yeah,
I've always been, I'm always in wrestling.
Yeah, it's in your blood, man. I could tell. When was that you were on the Howard Stern show? When it was what was the whole gimmick for that event with like the hot wife and the
So basically, if one of you guys are, I'm a huge Howard Stern fan. So I don't know if any the listeners are, but pretty much when Howard got married to his wife, they did like everybody on the internet, whatever, saying that, oh, she's a hot wife, and Howard Stern's an ugly man. So what he did, he started doing it hot, hot wife, ugly guy, like contest. And I was like, hey, let me just throw my picture. My wife is hot. God bless me. Thank you very much. And and they liked it, and they flew me out. And at that time was when the XPW reunion, the Cold Day in Hell, was happening.
Oh wow, that time. Okay.
So that's when I wore the XPW shirt. I wore the XPW shirt on the Howard Stern show.
Oh.
So if you guys watch, if you go on YouTube, you can see me wearing an XPW shirt on the Howard Stern show. God bless.
Wow. I remember way in the early days, Jasmine St. Clair was on the Howard Stern show. This was like right in the infancy of XPW and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And like, they were like, oh, wow, great. She's going out there. She's going to plug it. This is going to be awesome. And she just like, yeah, this wrestling thing I'm doing, it's cool and all that. And like Rob just chewed her out when she came back. Like, what are you doing? Like she didn't mention it at all. So here you were literally sporting the shirt and no one told you to do it. So that's
and I played
awesome.
it too because like Howard's like, what do you guys do? It's like, oh, we're gonna be wrestling because my wife, she was gonna be on I think she was like Miss XPW, Miss Extreme contest.
Yeah, she was in the contest at the Cold Day in Hell, right?
She was in the contest for Cold Day in Hell. And
that's right. I remember this was right at the same time that you.
So that was fun. And then Cold Day in Hell, that was a cool experience. But it just
what that mean to you when you came back and you saw like the place was sold out and the fans were that rabid and they were that passionate still?
It was cool. I'm not gonna lie, it was a good experience. It was cool seeing everybody there. It was I liked it. It was cool.
Yeah.
It was nice that they brought back all the old people too. You know what I mean? They didn't just do like, oh, let's just bring in the cool people. You know what I mean? They brought in like the originals, which was kind of nice. Yeah, I wish it would have kept going. I wish it would have. We would have kept going, but I think something happened with the actual licensing or something because somebody owns
that and it was a combination of that, but it was also the crash of the 2008 at the time because Big Vision Entertainment ended up going under. And at the time, XEG, who owns XPW, was working with Big Vision, producing. Had they owned all the footage, and so that's why we did the show. And at the time, the plan was to do. That was the test run, right? Cold Day in Hell. We knew it was going to go to DVD and all that, and then people were already accepting it from like the cable companies. What the plan was to do an either monthly or bi-monthly pay-per-view special. Kind of like how when TNA first started. That was the plan at the time. And literally like a month or two after Cold Day in Hell is when everything went to crap and the company shut down. So at least we got to do that one-off show. And then we did the 10-year reunion show a year later. That was mostly through Hartsfield, is doing. But that was it. And but when you look back, Vinnie, as a fan, as someone that grew up in the business, liking it, working in the business, knowing where the business is taking its twists and turns, but you were a part of XPW, talking about the worldwide video distribution, on television throughout North America, the fan base that we had, and everything, all the crazy stuff that went on. In your mind, what is, in the world of pro wrestling, what is the legacy of XPW?
Oh my God. I don't know. That's a tough one. I would say the legacy of XPW was, just, it was, I don't know, man. That's a good question. You put me on the spot now. I think the legacy of XPW was just kind of like, it was one of the first times, like, somebody that, they grabbed local talent and mixed it with, like, big stars, and it was a big deal. You know what I mean? It was the first time they made, the one thing I will say about Rob Black that I liked, and he didn't have to do any of this. Like, he could have brought in Shane Douglas or Sabu and make that the main event.
Right.
Like, he could have made, the Sandman versus, Chris Candido. He could have. He had plenty of money. He had a shit ton of money. He could have just filled his from top to bottom, like, just brought in all the names, all the WCW guys that weren't working, all the ECW guys that weren't working, all those guys, and just made top to bottom. But the good thing about Rob Black, and I get to respect him for this, is that he had his local crew, like the SoCal guys, Chaos, Supreme, then plus the NorCal guys, Pogo, Rosano, and Vic, myself, and he put us in those. He put us with those guys. You know what I mean? Like, he could have just as easily had Damien Halloween and Juventud and another Lucha guy that was down there. Instead, he put me there, put me over. And, he would put Supreme versus someone. He would put Chris Candido versus Johnny Webb. He would put, all these guys together. So, and it built, and, so this is kind of going to go into pro wrestling, but you get your stars, and then they put your own stars over. So it makes, it elevates your own stars. Cause, like, I remember, like, when people, like, after I pinned Halloween, people were like, dude, oh my God, you fucking made it. And I was like, what are you talking about? This is, like, literally, like, if they knew the story behind it, but it makes you like, oh, do you went over on Halloween? You're fucking, like, you're famous. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but that's what happens. You know what I mean? You do, Rob, and Rob didn't have to do that. He honestly could have just, like I said, he could have just fucking had a show full of top to bottom stars.
Yeah. And for all of us, the referees, myself, they could have gotten guys that were, like, had already been on television for years, like, you're right. He look, man, we wouldn't be here talking right now, you and myself, if it wasn't for him and Kevin and then the company existing. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line, man. So I agree with you on that.
So, I think, to me, as a fan, XPW was crazy and, insane. But to me, as a pro wrestler and as somebody in the wrestling business, I always remember Rob Black and Kevin Kleinrock as people that were like, they actually, it was one of the very first times where I noticed, like, man, these guys are, like, actually pushing local guys. And the cool part about it is that after a while, you would have, like, Shane Douglas on the show, or Sam Mel Candido, but, like, one of the funnest matches they would have would be Supreme versus Angel, like, the local guys. That would be the main event, because they were like, holy shit, this match is gonna go fucking nuts. Oh, Vic Grimes versus Supreme. You're like, holy shit, this match, and you didn't have, so you didn't always have to have, like, a giant star or whatever.
It's interesting. Before we wrap up here, it's interesting how you said that in a way where it's like, okay, the fun match were these guys, but you needed those stars to sell the show, to sell the home videos and all that. But now that that's the case and enough time has gone by, if you watch some of those shows, I think the matches that you talked about, not to take anything away from anybody, whoever it is, but if the matches that you just stated right there, the Angels, the Supremes, the Chaos, now you look back at those shows and those matches are the ones that are going to age better, because the stars at the time needed to sell that product. The stars at the time that needed to sell the product, those guys, they didn't necessarily have the sleeper match of the night. They weren't out hungry and trying to prove themselves. You know, it's like an old band still playing versus a new, or if you listen to a band that's been around forever, you listen to the new stuff, it's like, all right, it's good. But when you listen to their old stuff, like, oh man, they were hungry then. Listen to that. You can hear it, you know, and that's right. You know, and then now, and also now when you look back at those matches, it doesn't matter who the star of the day was back then. Now, when you watch those matches, those shows. So yeah. when you see guys like yourself, like Angel, like Dynamite D, like anybody that was making a name then, but they're a name now, you know, because people know them. Those matches, I think they're going to age better than the ones that, oh, these are the stars we had to bring in at that time. Generally,
exactly.
Yeah, not every time, but I think generally speaking, look, man, if you're going to watch an XPW show on YouTube or wherever, you're probably not going to watch Candido versus Shane Douglas like the same way you're going to watch Angel and Supreme. You know, it's not going to be like, oh my gosh, look at these guys. Not to take anything away from Douglas and Candido or anybody. You're not going to go, wow. But you're still to this day going to go, holy shit, look at Angel and Supreme. You're still going to do that to this day, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing too, is I liked XPW because it kind of like had a little bit of everything. And I know, you know, Rob, you know, obviously Rob was a fan of ECW, so he wanted to emulate that. And, you know, the cool thing about Rob is that he's like, you know what, I'm going to start bringing in some like lucha guys and, you know, some young guys. And, you know, honestly, like I remember, you know, the opening match would be like Super Dragon and Excalibur, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like those kind of matches. So, you know, I think, you know, there's a lot of bad stuff that Rob did, but there's also some good stuff that Rob did.
Yeah, the good dude, and XPW was definitely the good, the bad, and the ugly, man. It was the Wild West. I tell people now, we talked about it before. I mean, the wrestling business then was still, kayfabe was still alive. It was the tail end of it, and it was just that gritty kind of feel of wrestling that is just missing today. Add to that this like controversial figure that owns an adult film company. And he was not just controversial in wrestling, Rob. Rob was controversial in a controversial world. He was controversial in the adult film industry.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. Rob Black paints the picture. If Rob Black was around right now, he would have gotten canceled like the second fucking show of XPW.
Oh man, yeah.
Come on, let's keep it real. Let's keep it real, bro. But if Rob was around right now, XPW wouldn't fucking see the light of day because he would have been canceled like so long ago.
But there again, we were privileged enough to do it in a time where we had complete freedom to escape into this world of craziness, not having to worry about, I can't escape too much into this world because I got to keep my mind on the real world because I got to think if I said the right thing, if I offended somebody, canceling, like you said. But whereas then, my goodness, man, I look back at some of the footage, watching old XPW TV, and I can hear myself talk to like Rivera or something.
I'm just like, it has not aged. It has not aged well. Let's keep it.
But that's fine. That's fine, and I agree with you. What I'm trying to point out is the fact that there is a kind of a sad looking back on it because I can tell how free we were. I can tell how.
No.
I can tell how free we were.
But back then, I mean, shoot. I mean, TV was like that. You know what I mean? Like everything was like that. Movies were like that. I mean, back then, you know, at this time, yeah, dude. There's half the shit you listen to, like you know, movies back then, TV shows back then, how like, of course you watch movies. How the hell did they get away with this?
Right, but Vinny, as a performer. Whether you're a singer, whether you're an artist, whether you're an actor, pro wrestler, announcer, whatever, a performer today, unfortunately, can't afford to get completely lost in a character any longer because that character now has to worry about the real world of who they're going to offend. Whereas back when we were doing it, it's like, hey, you may not like this, but it's just entertainment, and they have the First Amendment right to say and express themselves as long as they're not hurting anybody. And it's like,
here's the other problem. Here's the other problem. I mean, and this could be a whole another podcast, but I could be here all day. The problem with nowadays is that wrestling fans want to be smart and they don't want to be worked. So
exactly.
if I go out there and I say, I'm Vinnie Massaro, I'm Italian, blah blah blah, I don't like you, you piece of crap. Hey, you don't like him because he's gay in real life? I'm like, no. That's just I don't like him because that's my character. I'm Vinnie Massaro. I hate everybody. Oh yeah, you can't say that. You can't say you hate him. I'm like, why? Because he's a homosexual. I'm like, listen, that's not how it works.
It's a show.
Pro wrestling fans don't want to be worked. They want to be smart, and they want you to be a heel, but don't go over the line because that's not right. It's
harder now.
That's the way it is.
Dude, and that mentality, and I guess we all, it's human nature, right? To want to know. It's like the Wizard of Oz. At the end, now that I know there's a curtain back there, now I want to see it. Of course, that's human nature, right? But at the same time, if you really think about it, why go to a magic show? You know it's not really magic happening, but why go and say, oh, okay, there's the trick. Now I want to see how you do it. Come here.
Listen, I go, excuse me, magician, can you do me a favor? Can you put down the swords? Because I had a traumatic experience when I was young with swords. Can you please put that down? Like, you're at a magic show.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to be using swords. Oh, please don't go underwater. My cousin, almost drowned when he was little. That's gonna upset me. You know what I mean? I go,
it's entertainment, man. It's entertainment.
It's entertainment. I go, I understand, but at the same time, it's like, listen, I hate to break the news. I love everyone in the ring. I love all we're friends. Okay?
I know.
We're not. I really don't hate that person. If I tell that person that I hate his guts and I wish his mom died, I don't really mean it.
You know what's crazy, man? You know what's crazy now, and then once you tell that to the fan, like you basically give him all the real inside information, and the fan goes,
"They hate that." Man,
well, I don't want to watch this anymore. Thanks a lot, you're the one that is demanding this, man.
Yeah, but you took it too far. I'm like, you cut your promo. That was on. You shouldn't have said that. I'm like, why? Because you hate me? Yeah. Well, guess what? Yeah. That's what I want. That's what I wanted you to do.
Vinnie.
I mean, to a certain extent. I mean, there's those guys that don't know how to cut a promo or don't know how to work, and they just do.
Right.
They take that low hanging fruit. I'm just saying. I'm not saying like, every fan needs to just get over it. There's some things. There's some things you could do. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna use slurs. I'm not gonna use slurs or anything like that. But nowadays, like, you can't do anything. Like, literally.
No, and it's tricky because, again, you can't separate that. Look, you're Vinnie Massaro, the wrestler, is a different person than you. Kris Kloss, the wrestling announcer, is not who I am. These are two different people. But now,
you're not really racist towards Italians, like,
Yeah, and I don't, and this behind me, this pro wrestling show that I'm talking about, it really isn't the most important thing in the history of the world that the announcer is saying that it is. It's just not,
What do you mean? This isn't the most important night of our illustrious sport. What are you talking about?
Right. And this is going to prove to be the biggest show in history. Don't miss it, fans. Tickets available. Right. So that's a different person. But my point is, they can't be different anymore. They have to kind of be one and the same, the performer and the real person, because you got to now take that real person issues into this performance. You can't escape into this character like you used to, and it's troubling. It's troubling for the entertainment industry. And I do know some people that I just talked to last week. I live in Woodland Hills. There's a lot of people where I live that are in entertainment. And a lot of people are saying, like,
that's called humble brag for all the kids right
now. No, please. But my point is there's people that are stuck right now. They know that this is a big problem in the arts, right? but they can't say anything because look, no one wants to get. This shouldn't be a political topic anyway. This is just we're just talking, but it becomes political. So it's very interesting now, and pro wrestling is no exception. But you know, Vinny, you're right, dude. We could literally have a whole nother show just on this topic alone because it's very interesting.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it because someone's going to take a little chunk of it, and then people
there
say,
you go.
It's just you. And I was like, all right, what?
But see, there you go. There you go. We can't do that now. But I get what you're saying. But hey, nonetheless, Vinny, this has been very interesting, and you are welcome back at any time, man. It's been great catching up with you, man. Really good talking to you, and thanks again for sharing. You know, the guys that passed, just sharing the cool story about Vic and about how you, man, when you broke in and how young you were, and the guys you went against, and just shedding some light. So for those of you that were asking me, as Vinny put it, you marks that were asking me about Vinny right here. I hope I answered most. If not all, most of your questions that you may have wanted him to talk about. So again, Vinny, for all of us here at the Wrestling Chatter for Xtreme Memories, thank you so much for joining, my friend, and good catching up with you.
Oh, no problem. Please, if anyone out there, you can go check me out on Twitter at Snoring Elbow. My wife, people that went to the XPW show will remember Monica Massaro. Check her out at Biohazard Babies. She makes the perfect. If anyone's looking for any kind of hard dolls, by all means, go to biohazardbaby.com or biohazardbabies.com, and you can find her Biohazard Babies on all social media. And me, I'm the guy on Twitter that posts dumb memes and shit posts half the time. So you can find me.
And feel free once this video is up, Vinny, if you want to post that down in the comments, or we could if we could put it.
Sure, I'll send all my stuff. My stuff easy, but I'll send you all the links. I appreciate it.
All right, folks. Thank you once again for joining us. And if you want to write me, it's Kris Kloss on Facebook. Instant message me. I will get back to you. Even if you see that I've read your messages, I will get back to you. Thank you so much for your support, everybody. And for all of us at the Wrestling Chatter, this has once again been Xtreme Memories. I'm your host, Kris Kloss, and our guest today, the one and only Vinnie Massaro. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching Xtreme Memories, hosted by Kris Kloss. He's dropping new episodes every month on the 15th and 30th. You can be the first to tune in by subscribing to the Wrestling Chatter channel right here on YouTube. See you next time.